All right, well, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the afternoon show presented by ESEN. I'm Chris Gonzalez, joined by Tony Gonzalez and Jay McLovin. How's it going, guys?
I'm good.
I'm feeling like Liam Cohen the other day. Duval. Oh, the time it is, Tony. When I saw that, oh my God, I say, this guy cannot. And it was the facial expressions. It was the eyebrow going up. It was like the head doing like this number when he said it. Let me ask you guys this, man. The guy's getting ready to take over the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that's in disarray. He's going to have to get the player buy-in. TJ Watt said it best. You can't not think that these players aren't sharing this via their text messages all over the place. So how is this guy going to go in there and try to straighten out an organization when he kind of looks like a clown in his press conference? What do you guys think about that?
It was a bad first impression, I guess, but I mean, from all indication, looks like that team was lost anyway. I mean, the previous coaching staff had lost the team, so they're starting from scratch. So, I mean, it wasn't the best first impression, but I don't think it's over already. You know that he can't get. I think it depends on what. I mean, more of his actions than a sideshow. So I think give us some time. Now I don't know if he was a pretty good offensive coordinator, but I don't know anything other about the guy.
Yeah. To me, it didn't affect. I don't have no effect on what I thought of him, and I don't think it's that big of a deal really because he ain't the first coach that has done something stupid in the press conference that everybody killed him for and said they were going to be terrible coaches. Everybody said the same thing about Nick Sirianni when he took over in Philadelphia. His first press conference, he looked like a goofball, and everybody buried him. He ain't going to be worth a shit. He's going to his second Super Bowl.
Yeah, people was wanting to get rid of him.
And then Dan Campbell, same thing with him. Mike kneecaps. This guy's an idiot. He's just a meathead. He ain't gonna be no head coach. Look what he's done in Detroit.
Absolutely.
Mike McDaniels, same way with the Dolphins. I know he hasn't had real great success yet, but there for a couple of years they were talking about how he's the next offensive genius in the league and everything because what his offense was doing up until last year when they had the injuries and stuff.
Right.
So I don't put a whole lot of stock into like the first press conference thing because we've seen guys look like fools and then end up being decent coaches.
Yeah.
What worries me more about I can't remember his last name, but that coach Liam, I can't remember what
Cohen. Yeah.
What worries me more about him is he only has 5 years total experience coaching in the NFL as a coordinator or anything. So that what makes me more reluctant than anything is his experience and how hard is it going to be for him to get a good coaching staff around him this year because it's so late. It's so late in the process.
Sure.
A lot of coaches have already signed contracts and stuff. So I think that's more of a concern than what he looks like at the opening press conference.
I tell you though, and I really think Bobby Slovic, he's out there available. I think if I was him, I would go grab him, bring him in as my offensive coordinator. He's got great experience with. He's got good development with C.J. Stroud and that offense. I know they kind of sputtered towards the end, but they had a lot of injuries too, so I can't put all that on Slovic.
He's not going to do that, Jay, because he's going to be the play caller.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, Liam Cohen wants to be the play caller.
I'm assuming that he's going to be the play caller anyway. Most of them guys like that, like Ben Johnson, he's going to be the play caller in Chicago, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. I mean, but I still think
like Shane Steichen when he came to the Colts. Yeah, we have an offensive coordinator, a guy with that title. But Shane Steichen calls the plays during the games, and I'm sure that's what Ben Johnson's going to do, and I'm assuming that's what Cohen's going to do because I mean that's why he got the job was because of his play calling.
Yeah, I think his main focus is going to be trying to find the best defensive coordinator he can find.
Yeah, so I don't see him going after a guy like Slovic because of that, because I don't think he's going to let some. I could be wrong. He might be letting somebody else call the plays, but I know a lot of them young offensive guys usually call the plays.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something. But even if I was him, I'd bring him in or at least have a phone call conversation like, hey, look, this is the job. What do you think about? I mean, I would at least reach out to him regardless. And if he turns it down, he turns it down. But I would still give him that call. And I think you're right. He's got to get a good defensive coordinator because if he's already a good offensive coordinator or comes from that lineage, that he needs somebody on the defensive side that can kind of balance that to really upright that ship. Because like you said, Tony and Gonzo, that organization is a mess, and it's going to take a lot to resurrect it.
Do you guys think maybe Slovak could end up being a guy that New Orleans could look at?
Who is that? Who'd you say? You say Bobby Slowick?
Yeah.
I mean, the only downside to that would be, does he want to go in there? I mean, that's going to be a lot of, I mean, that would be a conversation where if he takes that job, he's going to have to look at ownership and say, hey, Mr. Benson, you know, your team, it needs a quarterback, it needs a lot of things. You're going to have to give me a timetable. Let me work this out. And if that's the case, then yeah, that might be an attractive job. But I'm glad you brought that up because look, McCarthy has already turned down that job, said, nope, I'm going to come back in 2026. Cliff Kingsbury hey, look, this is Cliff freaking Kingsbury turning down that job, right? Saying he don't want to take it. Now you got Kellen Moore that's going to wind up, it looks like, I guess it's still a serious contention. So that tells me what's going on in New Orleans that has these other experienced coaches turning away from it.
I think with McCarthy, he's probably just tired of waiting. Like, if you're going to hire me, hire me. He's probably getting to the point thinking, hey, if they're taking this long, they're waiting on Kellen Moore to get done with the Super Bowl. I think that's part of it. And the other part of it is they don't have a lot of cap room. So it's not like you can go in there and it's going to be a team you might be able to turn around quick because they don't have a lot of cap space. It's caught up to them where they kept pushing all these contracts down the road. And it's finally caught up. It's been like that since Sean Payton left, basically, and they haven't been able to get out of that. So I think that is kind of why McCarthy. I think with Kingsbury, it's just a situation he's in right now. He's still getting paid a lot by Arizona from when he was the head coach there because them are guaranteed contracts. So he's still getting all that money. And he's in a great situation in Washington with a young quarterback that they just went to the NFC Championship game with. I think he just decided to stay where he's at because he's in a great place, and his name would probably still be hot next year if they have another good year.
His stock may even be higher next year, hopefully. But let me ask you guys. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought New Orleans at the start of the season, I thought they was going to be a pretty good team. What went so wrong there?
Oh, there's definitely some issues.
Injuries. They had a lot of injuries to key players as well.
Derek Carr got hurt, that's for sure.
Carr was out, and then Kamara missed some time. I think they had some defensive guys that missed some time. They need some help on the defensive side of the ball as well. And then they got to figure out, is Carr going to be their quarterback again, or if they're going to move on from him. Hey, I saw a rumor yesterday that Carr might be coming to the Colts.
Hey, Rookie, hold on. Glenn, hold up.
Yes.
That belt, killer. Hold that belt up. Hold that thing up. Hold that thing up like Roman Reigns. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's if y'all don't know, that's the Unscripted Fantasy Football League that Glenn did win for the second time in a row. But that's okay, Glenn. You know what? I got Gonzo and Tony that are gonna be in the league next year. I'm telling you, they coming for you, Glenn. Yesterday, he's coming for that belt.
Yeah. If you put, is it your cousin Brian that won, or is your brother Brian that won your league on our other league?
It was cousin Brandon.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
there's a cousin Ryan in there. There's the whole family's in that thing basically.
Yeah,
all I know, Gonzo, is look. Gonzo, Tony, this man has won the damn belt 2 times in a row. Y'all got to come in here and give some new blood and take this damn belt away from him.
Yeah, but no, that was. I did see a video, actually a couple videos of rumors yesterday that Derek Carr is on the Colts radar as a guy to bring in to be in a competition with Anthony Richardson.
How would you feel about that?
I like it.
As long as Carr stays healthy, which he will definitely give Anthony Richardson competition. Let's be honest. At this point in the game, though, Carr is better than Richardson. He's got experience. He's got a lot of things. It's just kind of a little bit of health that held him back a little bit with some injuries. But
I like it depending on what kind of money you got to pay him.
Well, that's a good point tee.
But it ain't like Carr's name's real hot where I don't think you'd have to pay him a whole lot. If you can get him in there because you're gonna need a backup guy anyway.
Isn't Flacco still on your team as a backup?
I seen where it looked like he was getting ready, going to sign somewhere. but I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I don't think the Colts are bringing Flacco back.
Okay, so then you do need a backup quarterback or a primary back if you.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If you bring in a guy like Carr, if Carr wins the job, then you have Richardson as your backup.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if Richardson wins the job, you have Carr as a backup.
But let me ask you this though: if you think that Richardson, or if ownership thinks that Richardson is still the guy, and you put Flacco, or if they do bring in Carr, you put Carr in front of him because Carr will definitely win the job out with the experience and all that kind of stuff. If they do that, does that then further hinder Richardson's development as a quarterback?
Honestly, I think if they have a competition, if they bring in like Carr, and they have a competition during the offseason to see who the quarterback's going to be, and Carr wins it, to me that means the Colts are moving on from Richardson. He might be on the roster the rest of that season as a backup, but to me that they're moving on from him as potential being their next guy. I think that's why they want to bring somebody in to compete with them, to try to push him up to the next level. And if he don't, then we're going to move on from you. We're not going to sign you to a big contract, second contract, because this year, this will be his third year. So the year after would be his last year. We have him on his rookie deal. So I think if he was not be the starter at the beginning of the season, then that means they're going to probably move on from him after this season.
Possibility.
Yeah, see the way the Colts are right now, they could already be looking at Anthony not being on the roster just to begin with. So it's one of those things that it could go that way.
Huh. Yeah, that is definitely interesting. That makes me wonder. I think it's good though, because I think Richardson needs somebody to push him. Right, I think he's kind of been riding solo dolo with Flacco a little bit, so maybe he doesn't feel pushed. But I think Carr could push him, and maybe competition brings out the best of you. And maybe that competition could get Richardson back on track. If you think that was an issue.
Let me ask you guys about all the guys that are available: Cousins, Carr, I don't know, Fields, the other guy from Pittsburgh, and there's others. Who do you think would be the best guy for the Colts to bring in your opinion, for the competition? Do you think Carr's as good as any? Do you think Cousins would be better? And money's an issue, I know that. Or do you think one of the guys from Pittsburgh? I'm forgetting the one guy's name. The one who was in Seattle.
I personally would say Carr, probably first because of I think you're going to get him at a decent price. But Cousins would be would be good. But the only thing is, if you're bringing in a guy like Cousins, you're basically, you're not going to get Cousins to come there if you're not guaranteeing he's the starter probably. So if you bring
the thing about Cousins though is
you bring a guy like Cousins in, you're basically already saying that you're giving up on Richardson. Or if you bring like a guy like Carr, you can sell that it's an open competition. So, and I think Carr would be a better backup than like Fields, just because Carr can throw the ball a little better than Fields.
What about the other guy at Pittsburgh? Fields.
Russell Wilson.
I don't want nothing to do with Russell Wilson. Okay.
I think Russell Wilson. We've seen all that Russell Wilson is. To be honest with you, I don't think. I don't think Wilson pushes the needle for you guys, and I don't think Cousins will push it.
I don't think. Well, be honest with you, I don't think Carr pushes the needle for us. But the
I don't think so either.
The problem, because what happens is if whoever you bring in for competition, you don't want them to win that starting job. Really, if you're, if you're, honestly, as Colts fans, you were hoping Richardson is the guy, because if he's not, now we're starting all over, because if you bring in Carr or whoever, they're just a bridge quarterback till you're trying to find your next young guy. So we're back.
I think you're right.
Ball's plan is to extend his job security, So.
But don't you think if Carr comes in and plays well, that the Colts could make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously. I have to agree with you guys on that one.
I agree 100%. We could have made playoffs with the team we had this year.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't think our team I don't think our team's that far away.
No, we have pretty good roster.
There's a couple positions, but the quarterback is the main position. And I think Carr would stabilize it. Now, Carr's never been a big winner. I understand that. But that don't mean that can't change. There's been other quarterbacks be in the league 8, 9, 10 years, and all of a sudden they might win a Super Bowl. So it's not impossible. I'm not predicting that Carr's coming there and we'll win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. But honestly, I think we'd have a better chance with Carr. I want Richardson to prove me wrong. He hasn't done it yet.
I think the Colts still have some issues to deal with outside of just even the quarterback, though, to get to that next level. You guys are there. You got a good team, But I don't know if you're a Super Bowl caliber team, even with a good quarterback. I don't know if you're quite there yet.
I don't think we're real far. I think tight end, and I think a couple defensive positions, and after that, I don't think we're.
Right.
I mean, our receivers did better this year, and we did that with not really strong quarterback play.
That's
I mean,
true.
I mean,
Franklin's got on his head.
I mean,
His head.
when you watch the season, because I watched pretty much every game, and I didn't realize till after the season was over that the Colts had 3 receivers with over 800 yards apiece, and that was the only team in the league that had that. And that was shocking with the quarterback play.
Right.
We do have some breaking news. Triple H is going to be the headliner to the WWE Hall of Fame class this year.
He's
Oh,
going.
wow.
Yep.
Just heard that before I hopped on.
I'm just looking at a post right here too as well. But Triple H is the headliner for WWE Hall of Fame this year.
You know, people's going to.
Stephanie McMahon, Shawn Michaels, and Undertaker made the announcement during the WWE town hall today.
You know, people's going to be all over that.
Said that Triple H wasn't expecting the announcement and he was very emotional about it. And joked he's going to kill Nick Khan.
Well, he's well deserved.
So they announced it today at like some kind of press open or town hall meeting, and Triple H didn't know nothing about. Didn't know they were going to.
There's no doubt about he's well deserving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the dude's definitely earned it. He probably should have went in the year after he retired, which was he retired
at this rate. He should be in as a performer and as a head of talent or booker or executive, whatever you want to call it.
Glenn, you might know this. Is Vince in?
I don't know.
I don't think he is. I don't think Vince is in the Hall of Fame, is it?
That's weird. That
that's gonna be a while now.
Wow. Yeah, you got to think Vince would be in there, though.
He probably never allowed it, and now it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it won't happen. I think you give it a few years. I think it will happen if he's not in there, but I don't think he is.
Huh. Yeah, he's not in there. I'll see it in my lifetime. I know that, but it'll be a while. It'll be probably like after Triple H hangs it up as the CEO or whatever it is that he does. There's a lot of things.
So sometime today, guys, I know Glenn probably already seen it, and I told you about it yesterday that J.D. McDonough got hurt. You need to watch that video clip where he got hurt. It is unbelievable.
Vince Sr. is in the Hall of Fame, but not
Vince Sr.
Vince Sr. went in with that second class that went in with the in 94, 95. Obviously, Andre was the first one. I want to see he went in, Bobo Brazil and shit.
Wow.
Said that Vince always said he wouldn't go in because he wouldn't induct himself. So I guess there would be a chance maybe sometime in the future since he wouldn't be inducting himself.
He deserves to be in. I mean, I know he might be a piece of crap, but he deserves to be in.
Yes.
Who knows where? Hey, you can think what you want about Vince McMahon, but who knows where pro wrestling would be right now without Vince McMahon? It definitely wouldn't be where it's at right now.
No way.
Well, he definitely took it to a whole other stratosphere.
I mean, he took it from territories to global.
And I don't think there was anybody else out there at that time that could have done it. Vern Gagne, they didn't have the vision. Vince had the vision. I mean, a lot of people thought he was crazy.
Well, Vern Gagne and all them guys looked at it as pro wrestling. Yeah. He looked at it as entertainment.
Yes.
Because he would tell them guys, we're not in the same business. You're in the pro wrestling business. I'm in the entertainment business.
Well, I seen an interview with Bobby Heenan, and he talked about WrestleMania. Bobby Heenan said, I thought he was crazy. He said, what the hell is he talking about? He said, I'm aboard. I'm along for the ride. I'm getting a paycheck, but this ain't going to work. And then after the first WrestleMania, he said, he's on to something.
Yeah, I figured out for everybody else that everybody was still stuck in the old days, the NWA style booking,
The dude was so smart. There was a championship wrestler from Georgia, Jay, and he bought that contract from TBS, from Turner, and put his show on there. And he told him he was going to do live wrestling. He lied to him. He just put taped wrestling on there. The fans hated it. They bitched, complained. And he said, well, I'll sell it back to you, but I want $1 million. He didn't pay that, so he sold it back to TBS and WCW. Sold it back to him. Then he took that $1 million, and that's how he did WrestleMania. They financed the very first WrestleMania for him, but he went all in. If WrestleMania would have flopped, he would have been broke.
Well, the wrestling part would be here,
Yeah. And see, a lot of people think Vince was a big time billionaire rich dude. He lived in a trailer park most over half his life. First 10, 11, 12 years, he lived in a trailer park.
Isn't that crazy? And now look at him.
Yep. And then his dad didn't give him the business. He bought the business from his dad. And you know, he's a self-made dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm about to say he's self-made. Like Ross Perot is self-made. I mean, it's interesting how these people can go from nothing and become billionaires, and nobody helped them. Like they literally did it all on their own. I mean, you got to have a lot of respect for that. I know I do.
yeah.
A lot of respect for that. But hey, let me ask you this: so the Pro Bowl game. Can we talk about the Pro Bowl game for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's going on with the Pro Bowl game? And Glenn, I don't know if you saw this or not. I was watching on the Pat McAfee show this morning. They were talking about it. J.J. Watt had a lot to say about it. And J.J. Watt said that he feels the Pro Bowl game has run its course, that there's just really nothing they can do to save it. He said they're not going to cancel the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl is a money maker. But if you want the Pro Bowl of yesterday, that's gone. It's not ever going to come back. Now you got more of this, kind of like Vince McMahon said, we're not in the wrestling business, we're in the entertainment business. And I think the Pro Bowl is going more towards entertainment and then that variety. So they got basically these skill challenges, right? You got the relay race, you got a Madden game. Like, I don't know how playing a computer game got into the Pro Bowl, but apparently it's there. So you got the relay race, the Madden game, the punters challenge, and then you got a damn tug of war. Like, and then they got the flag football, I guess, game itself. I don't know about you guys, but I think this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? And they're not the only ones that have done this. MLB is kind of taking a step back a little bit on their All-Star game. So is the NBA, on their All-Star game. It's just, I don't know, man. As we get, and maybe I'm just an old school guy. Tony, you're an old school guy. Yeah. Gonzo, you're kind of a mid school guy. And then you got the baby down there below us. I mean, is it us that we want the old school stuff, or maybe it's the generation?
It's gone, Jay. They're never going back to that. How do you think, and this is maybe outside the box, what do you think about if they didn't do any of those skill things? Why not make it like an award show? Make it a big event and make it like an award show. Give these guys the props, bring them up on stage, have bands, all that kind. How do you think that would go?
I mean, it's
they actually already do that for honors.
True. That's true.
I mean, I think what you're talking about, Tony, I mean, they already kind of had that, right? They got the ESPY Awards, right? I mean, they kind of had their own little awards thing. I just,
you found that as an award?
I want to see them actually play the damn game. And I know
honestly, the ESPY Awards for the NFL is really just a Tom Brady jerk fest.
I mean, you're probably right. I mean, think about this, guys. Think about this. Take Drake May, for example. Drake May is now a Pro Bowler. Even though he had to go in as a replacement, he's a Pro Bowler. You got a guy that's only got one win versus the Bears in Week 10, got maybe close to 2,300 yards, 15 touches, but only 10 interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 6 fumbles.
Well, here's the problem, Jay.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the problem. The Pro Bowl game will never go back to being an actual football game because the players aren't. Because when they were doing that, it was basically 2-hand touch because the players aren't going to play hard because nobody wants to get hurt. Everybody's making so much money. And then you got the other problem is now it's the Pro Bowl. They've turned it like this isn't the first year that they've had all these different events. It's been like that for a few years now.
Right.
Well, it's turned into that. So now you get a lot of these players they'll get voted to the Pro Bowl, but they're not going to attend. They don't want to be a part of it. So that's why you get all these other guys. That's why Drake May, he's like the 6th alternate, but then he ends up getting in because of that. Gardner Minshew was the same way a few years ago. I heard talking to Dan Patrick today, and they made a good point. What they need to do, they need to start putting A after some of these Pro Bowls to let everybody know that they were alternates. That way, when you're going back and you're saying this guy was like 8-time Pro Bowl, was he really selected to the Pro Bowl, or did he get it because he was a 6th alternate and there was 5 other guys in front of him that didn't want to go?
Right.
And then more people want to go back when they did it in Hawaii, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
'cause
know a
people
lot of players
they
like
want to
when
go to Hawaii, they want to go party,
Hawaii.
and they take it away.
Yeah.
Take that away. Which I'm not saying they shouldn't have. I'm just saying.
I think the stadium
Yeah.
infrastructure all too well. It was old as shit. So
I think the best thing what they should do, and is something like what you said, turn it into like a big fan fest.
Yep.
And don't worry about having a TV. Don't worry about having it on TV. Just have a big fan fest thing.
But then they would lose money, wouldn't they? Because they're still getting paid money because people will watch this stuff.
Not many people
on that.
They don't get real good ratings on that Pro Bowl stuff though.
I get it, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, you would think if they got to be making some kind of money at it, or they would just do away with it, like, or they would go to this format like what Tony's talking about. If they weren't getting paid money for it, I still think there's a market.
Yeah, the NFL's getting paid money for it because it's in that TV contract.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like ESPN, I think is who has that. Not very many. It don't draw like big ratings. So ESPN would be. Yeah, you could make your NFL honor show mean more, and let that be your big show.
Right.
I think that would be better than what the product they're putting out there. And even if you've done a fan festing, there's things you could put on TV if you wanted to, but make it focus more on the live event and make it a big live event because they could get 60, 70,000 people to go or more to go to something like that. That if it's a big live event like that people would go to, and you're going to make a lot of money that way.
Right.
I think they'd be better off concentrating on the Pro Bowl as a live event instead of a TV product.
And I guess you still could do it as a TV product, depending on how you formatted it. Like you said, you can still do the Fan Fest thing, depending on, almost like the ESPY Awards, but for pro football. Something like that, where you're still getting the ratings, you're still getting the money. And maybe it's more enjoyable that way. I don't know. Or you maybe get more participation from the NFL players that way. But I still got to tell you, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I think JJ Watt was right on nail, man. I mean, it's just a loss. It's done. Like you said,
it's been done for years. It's been done for years, though.
Yeah,
it ain't like
absolutely.
It ain't like it just now became done.
I'll be honest. I really don't care. I don't care about any of the All-Stars. NBA is even worse for me. I don't care about any of the All-Star stuff anymore.
I watch some of the MLB just because it's about the closest to it.
Growing up as a kid, the MLB All-Stars in the 70s and the 80s, man, for me, because we didn't get the opportunity to see those teams, a lot of those players. I mean, I was lucky to get to see the Reds play here, let alone to get to see somebody from Detroit Tigers or the Orioles or, because it was only like a game of the week. That was it. There wasn't all these games. So it meant more.
To me, the MLB All-Star is the best because it's the closest to a real game.
Yep.
Right.
I would
agree with you on that for sure. Absolutely.
What I wish they wouldn't have done to the MLB All-Star game is put all the restrictions on like the use of the pitchers and all that stuff, because that's changed it. But before that, when like some of these pitchers would go out there and pitch a couple innings and stuff, when it mattered, like the winner got the World Series, home field in the World Series, you could tell it meant a little more to the players. Where now, and like if it's tied after 9 innings, they end or whatever. We're used to they'd keep playing. So some of the things like that. But I mean, it's closest to a real game because a pitcher's not going to go up there and just throw a meatball to a guy because he don't want to get embarrassed, and a batter's not going to go up there not trying because he don't want to get embarrassed. So you still have that. You have that personal one-on-one. Where in other sports you don't have that as much.
Right. No, I agree. I still think baseball has, like you said, I think baseball still has it right with their All-Star game. I mean, I don't think there's any issues with that. My only issue with baseball is I'm scared that it's slowly starting to die off. And I wonder how much longer, not so much like right now, it's not going to happen in our lifetime, but I wonder if down the road that baseball will fade out.
Ratings last year were better than they've been in a long time. All the numbers on baseball was going up last year.
Were they?
Yeah. Baseball, I think it's okay.
On baseball.
The only problem I have with baseball is, and it's been that way for a long time, they do Major League Baseball does a piss poor job of promoting baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been that way for a long time.
I think between MLB and WNBA, they both just are garbage when it comes to promoting or marketing that sport.
Last year, baseball, all their TV numbers were up, and attendance at almost all the league wide.
That's interesting. I didn't realize
was,
it had gotten up like that. I thought it was more on the decline side of it.
No. NBA's.
It seems like that because you don't hear a whole lot about baseball because they don't advertise as much as these other leagues, and and the big shows don't give them the coverage. Like,
right.
How often you turn on ESPN and hear them talking about baseball?
It's not very often. No. It really isn't.
If you want to watch a baseball show, you basically go to MLB Network. Yep. If you want to watch like a sports talk baseball show, you basically have to go to MLB Network. Really.
The only time I ever hear ESPN ever say something about baseball is if something has happened in the news about it, or if there's like a big competition, like if somebody's getting close to hitting the home run record or something, like if there's something like that going on, then you'll see something about it. But other than that, you're right. If it's not a big ticket thing, you don't hear nothing about it.
But
at all.
If you turn to ESPN a lot last summer, man, all you was hearing about was Caitlin Clark.
Right. Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, but I think Caitlin Clark.
All you heard about is how if you were a Caitlin Clark fan, you were racist. And...
Oh gosh, I don't even start on that shit.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that went on, unfortunately, on Caitlin Clark. But I got to tell you, I really like Caitlin Clark. I like her because she's a class act. And even though all this stuff was going on about her, she never engaged in it. She just let it do its thing, whatever. And that's commendable because, there's other WNBA players that, they just say some things out of their mouth. I'm going to say Angel Reese, but there's some people that really put themselves in a negative way.
Yeah.
Be honest.
I want to go to a Fever game this year. I wanted to get to one last year and didn't, so I'm going to try to get to one this year.
I can tell which game.
And apparently he's got all the tickets.
Yeah. I would want my asking prices.
Yeah, by the way, if you guys want to catch Glenn, he's going to be all over the Royal Rumble. From what I understand, he's with. I think you got Cody Rhodes, and I think you got Rhea Ripley, right?
Yeah, no way. I got Rhea Ripley, Chelsea Green, LA Knight, Unholy Union, Ric Flair, and Joe Hendry.
When you see Ric Flair, you say Jay McLovin said, "Woo!"
Most definitely. I had to buy that one. I bought that photo op because it was only $20 more than what his price would have been at the table. Because I'm not messing with that long ass line. That's gonna be a long ass line.
Hey, let me ask you this: when you see Ric Flair, you tell him that Gonzo said that he could totally kick his ass.
I think he could.
Yeah.
I think Chris could take him now.
I probably could now.
Especially if you catch him about midnight at a bar, because he'll be drunker than hell.
I'll hit you up about midnight, Chris, if I see him walking down Georgia Street. Hey, Chris, man, here's your chance.
How much was a photo op with Flair these days?
It was relatively cheap. The professional one was $100. That's what I got. I used the paper. Yeah.
10 years ago, I had a chance to get a picture and shit with them, and it was going to be $150.
Yeah.
Look at this. I said, no, I'm not, because I was going to do it. I had myself talked into it. I was going to go ahead and pay the money. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to I don't want to spend that much money on it. So then I turned around and bought this fucking chair right here for like $130 for Austin that was signed by Edge and Jim Ross. So instead of getting me the Ric Flair's autograph and the picture with him and shit, I ended up buying the chair instead and spent about the same amount of money.
But you actually get to keep the chair. I mean, you got a physical chair that has an autograph on. That's pretty dope. I like that. That's pretty dope.
I had the Ric Flair autograph as well.
Yeah.
The photos and autographs.
I didn't want to pay. I was like, man, I ain't paying $150 for that. But then I ended up buying this for my son for his birthday. So,
Glenn, the WrestleCon stuff's probably a little cheaper than the WWE stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Most talents are for single photo ops or photos. Autographs are usually anywhere from, I've seen some as cheap as $20, and the most expensive one I think is $80, maybe $100. One maybe $100, but like Steen is $80, Ricky Steamboat is $80. I do believe most of the somewhat known talents are like in the middle of the road, like where Joe Hendry's at is $40, $60 and stuff. So yeah, it's cheaper than what you would get over at the full.
WrestleCon's gonna be WrestleCon is going to be comparable to like when when you see some of the wrestlers at the independent shows set up a table.
40, 60.
It's going to be about those prices. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you guys another question here. Glenn, you're kind of a young guy, so you don't know all the. I mean, you're not as entrenched in the history of the sport because you're a younger person. You're more of the millennial class, right? You're a millennial. Am I right, Glenn? I'm not trying to be.
I'm pretty millennial. I'll be 38 this year.
Yeah, see, you're just a little bit younger than Gonzo over there.
Yeah.
So Bill Belichick has come out and said that he wants to rename the Super Bowl trophy after Tom Brady and put Vince Lombardi off to the side. What does that make you think? How do you feel about that?
I think it's a good idea because what Vince Lombardi do? Head coaches don't do anything.
Whoa.
Wait a minute. That's what everybody's been telling me the last few days. Everybody the last few days been saying head coaches don't do anything.
Killer B, whoa.
So I think it's a good idea.
No, I get it. I understand what you're saying, and I get it. And I understand where Bill Belichick's coming from too, right? Where he says the players are the ones out there scoring the points, not the coaches. But that's not 100% all accurate, in my opinion.
No, it's not. But it's not. But if you listen to the media,
hold on. Let's go back to Vince Lombardi just for a minute, because I feel like our country is so getting rid of history that we forget some things. And there's a lot of things when it comes to history and that trophy. It's more than just winning Super Bowl rings. There's the enrichment of it, right? Vince Lombardi was the first one to ever get 2 back-to-back Super Bowls. Look what he's done for his players in terms of all of the different quotes and all the things that we kind of have given back to him on. I don't know. There's too much history in Vince Lombardi and the where he came from, Lambeau Field and all of that. There's a lot of history there. And do you really want to get rid of history for that? I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe you make the NFL MVP. Now that could be named after Brady. I'd be down for that.
Personally, I don't think they should change it. But what I'm saying is, by everybody's logic these days, it should be named after a player because head coaches don't do anything. Bill Belichick didn't do anything in New England. Nick Sirianni hasn't done nothing with the Eagles. He's just a big dumb dipshit that has just somehow got lucky to make it to 2 Super Bowls. We don't want to give none of these head coaches any credit when they win. It's they don't do anything. It's all the players. So why should the top prize of the sport be named after a head coach if the coaches don't do anything? I don't think they should change it, but I'm just by the logic of nowadays. By the logic of nowadays of all these people on TV, it makes sense.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. I think. And Tony, you're an older guy. I think as the more we get along in the tooth, as me and you get older and they get younger, that everything that we founded this country on, everything around us, even down to the sports now it's gotten into the sports, we're erasing a lot of history and going this newer route. Now, almost to the point where 10 or 50, maybe 100 years from now, they're not going to know a whole hell of a lot about it. Things.
So here's my thing on it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change the Lombardi Trophy to the Tom Brady Trophy. I would, however, change the Super Bowl trophy from the Pete Rozelle Trophy to the Tom Brady Trophy. Obviously, that's where I would make the change. At is changing it from the MVP is the Super Bowl from Pete Rozelle to Tom Brady.
I agree with that. I think the Lombardi Trophy should be the Lombardi Trophy. The Super Bowl trophy should be Lombardi. If you want to name all the other accolades after that, after a different whatever, I'm totally down with that. I get that because look. Tom Brady was very, very, and we all know that Tom Brady was influential, right? We do. So I get that. If you want to make the MVP that type of trophy, then great. I don't know.
I can make the argument on that because why make the MVP trophy after Tom Brady? Why not after somebody else? Has Tom Brady won the most MVPs out of anybody in the NFL? I know.
I think I was going more after Tom Brady, just after the number of rings that he's won. I mean, nobody else has.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that'd be the pushback people would give about Tom Brady as like the MVP award. Is like
for sure.
Why not Joe Montana as the Super Bowl MVP award? What you know what I mean? You can make those arguments.
While we're on the subject of this, let's make it the Curtis Painter Trophy.
But no, I agree. I wouldn't change it. I think it's fine as the Lombardi Trophy, but I'm also a guy I'm also a person that believes coaching matters a lot. And
I think it absolutely matters a lot.
In today's world, society don't think coaching matters a lot. I think that's why this idea of changing it to Brady even got brought up, because a lot of people Not everybody. If you listen to most
Gonzo.
people on TV, they think these coaches don't know nothing and aren't worth a damn. And if you look, the teams that win have good coaches.
But you know what? You know what's weird to me though, Gonzo, too, and I agree. Everything you just said, I don't disagree with. As a matter of fact, this actually goes along with what you're saying. How many times do we hear when teams lose? We always talk about play calling. How many times have you heard play calling was an issue?
You never hear that when you never heard that when that same exact team wins the game. You never hear nobody complain about their play calling.
Exactly. Look, here's the thing. When it comes to football, I think, and then we even see basketball because the coaches do call the plays in basketball. I think play calling and player execution are about 50-50 in that. I think you got to have player execution, but I think you have to have a well thought out game plan to go into it, right? I mean, and let me be honest, who sets the culture? We're not talking about players setting the culture. We always talk about coaches setting the culture, right? So you can't tell me that coaches don't have some impact on whether a team gets a Super Bowl win or doesn't get a Super Bowl win.
And
I think it's a 50-50 deal. I think it's 50% player execution, and I think it's 50% play calling, and that gets you a championship. And that's why I think sometimes these coaches get railroaded on that.
Well, look at the coaches. I mean, after the first half, they go in there. Some teams could be behind 10 points. They come back, they make adjustments, and they come back and win the game.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
Absolutely.
Look at Andy Reid's record when he gets off a bye week or has an extra week or going into the Super Bowl has 2 weeks to prepare. Look at some of them coaches' records when they get extra time compared to other coaches, and the good coaches stand out when it comes to that.
How many rings does Mahomes have right now?
Three.
Got three.
Let me ask you this. Here's a classic example of what I'm talking about now, what you guys are talking about. Go back to the Atlanta-New England game, 28-3 at the half, right? Dan Quinn, excellent play calling, putting the pressure on Brady, not giving him an opportunity to do what Brady does, which is dissect the defense, right? He's keeping the pressure on Brady. Everything is going well. Second half, he takes the pressure away from Brady, and Brady executes, and they go out and win the Super Bowl. So you can say that's equal part of Dan Quinn's second half play calling and also Tom Brady's execution as a result. I mean, that's a perfect game to look at that scenario and see that it's a 50-50 deal.
As the coaches and the players, they took the foot off the gas. And then
Absolutely.
And once that gas got onto New England, you couldn't stop the ball rolling. And that happens sometimes.
Once the momentum shifted, they couldn't get it back.
Yep.
So you can't tell me that coaches aren't just as valuable as players. I mean, both of those guys have got to be in sync. They got to be in harmony if you want to get that win. And when it's like that, you're great. And Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady, that little trifecta, shoot.
And that's why
defense, because like you said, Gonzo, the defense has helped New England. So I'm not going to leave that out. But
and that's why I think Pete Carroll is such a great hire for the Raiders, because I think he's a guy that's going to come in. He's going to set a culture. He's rebuilt programs at different places. He's done it in Seattle. I mean, when he got to Seattle wasn't great. He done it. Yeah, he done it at USC. I mean, he's proven, just like Jim Harbaugh was coming in to the Chargers. Everybody thought that was going to work out because of his track record. He had rebuilt San Diego, Stanford, and with the 49ers, then went to Michigan. Everywhere he's been, he wins.
Let me ask you something, though.
So, I mean, to me, that shows you coaches have a big part of it. And I agree, players do too, but it's not just right. A lot of people want to make it one-sided, and it's not.
Let me ask you both, all you guys, something. With Belichick, also with Carroll, as they've got up in age, Belichick maybe lost a little bit of his shine. Maybe he couldn't connect to his players anymore. You think once you get to a certain age, or times are just changing, period. People, the young players, their mentalities are changing. Do you think it's just harder for these guys like Carroll, and because he started losing a little bit at Seattle? I mean, I'm not saying he's still not a good coach. I'm not saying Belichick's not good a coach. Do you think they could have a hard time reaching their players because times have changed so much, and they're much older men now? They're in their what? I know Carroll's in his 70s, I think.
Yeah, both of them are.
They're about the same age.
So do you think that could be an issue?
I don't, just because, like with Pete Carroll this last year in Seattle, you never heard the players complain about couldn't connect or not complaining about him.
Yep.
They went 9-8. They didn't even have a losing record that year. I mean, he still had that team playing hard for him and everything. And even Belichick, that team played hard for Belichick. They just didn't have a lot of talent in that team in the last few years and couldn't get the quarterback right. But that team played hard. It didn't look like them guys had got his message had got stale and they just quit on him. I mean, honestly, look at the Patriots just for example. Last year, yeah, they didn't have a great year of Belichick. You get rid of Belichick, but them players played hard. Well, what was Gerard Mayo saying that after about 3 weeks this season? He was calling his team out for being soft. So I think Mayo I think his message wasn't getting across with the team, but Belichick's message still was. They just didn't have the talent and didn't have the quarterback.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. Yeah.
Because they were the same players that was on that New England defense last season was on there this season pretty much. You know what I mean?
Just
and
like
now,
for sure.
Just like the coach of Pittsburgh. Everybody wants to give a hard time because all he does is win in the regular season. I mean, he has a winner's play. He's never had a losing season, has he?
No.
That's not easy to do. I mean, I think people get a little bit they need to maybe come to Dallas or Indianapolis and have some losing seasons and find out how that feels.
Well, wait a minute. Dallas ain't had a whole lot of losing seasons here lately. They've been just not winning the playoffs.
Okay, that's true.
Because you guys had what 3 or 4 winning seasons in a row until this season, haven't you?
Yep, because Dak went down with the injury.
I'll say they usually win about 12 games a year. They just can't win and usually get beat in the first round of playoffs, maybe second round.
No, but I mean,
Jerry Jones won.
Colts ain't won 12 games in about 4 years, 3-4 years.
We ain't been in the playoffs.
Kansas City.
So he's in playoffs with Phillip Rivers. Should have won that game against Buffalo. Should have won that game against Buffalo. I think that was the last time we won 12 games.
I think so.
Nah, I think it was Andrews last year when we beat Tennessee, and we went on to England, and Vinatieri had a crack game.
How many games did we win that year with Rivers? Was it 10 or 11?
It was 10 or 11. It wasn't enough to win the South, though. I know that because we went to Buffalo. Tennessee won the South that year.
We got beat by Jacksonville at the end of the season again to cost us the division.
Yep,
like always.
We haven't won Jacksonville since I think before I started having psoriatic arthritis, buddy, and that was 2012, I think.
That's interesting. Speaking of coaches, real quick, since we're talking coaches and things, McCarthy and Kingsbury both pulled their names out of the contention for the New Orleans Saints job. Apparently, Kellen Moore is now the leading front runner for that job, only because everybody else is pulling out of it. What's going on down there in New Orleans is making these guys pull out? Because you got good stars. You got Olave, you got Kamara, you still got a halfway decent defense. I mean, it's not like a really totally bad situation. I mean, you got something to work with there. But why are these guys pulling their names out?
You don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah, but I think it's more. I think they're pulling their names out more not because of. I think they know that the Saints have already made up their mind. I think they realize that the Saints are waiting on Kellen Moore to be done with the Super Bowl, and that's who they're going to hire. So I think they just went ahead and pulled their names out, like because I mean think about if you're McCarthy, if you've interviewed once or twice. And they're still waiting. I think he just finally is like, hey, if you guys are going with him, I'm gonna go ahead and free myself up.
Right.
And I think the same way with Kingsbury, because like I said, Kingsbury is still getting paid some by Arizona, and then he's in Washington. So I mean, you know what I mean? I think it just got to the point where it's like, if you want me, I'm not gonna be your third option. Either you're gonna hire me or not. If you're gonna hire me, let's do it. But I'm not gonna wait and be your third option for you to go talk to this other guy in 2 weeks and then tell me you're not gonna hire me.
Let me ask these Dallas fans something real quick. Would you guys been more happy with Kellen Moore coming to Dallas or with what they did?
I think I would say Kellen Moore. Is that how you feel, Glenn? Kellen Moore?
Yeah, I say Kellen.
Yeah. And I don't even really like Kellen Moore. I still feel like he's too predictable in his play calling. But honestly, I haven't seen enough out of Brandon Schottenheimer to really convince me that he's better than Kellen Moore because he wasn't calling the plays. I really don't even know what we're going to get out of Schottenheimer. And Glenn, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like I'm completely in the dark. I don't know what to expect. I'm just going to have to wait and see. But I don't think Schottenheimer was the right guy to get these guys out of a hole.
Jerry Jones in the senile ass self just wanted to be in the news. So he just got what he thought was the best.
Let me ask you this: Who do you think who do you think the better leader is? Do you think Cullen Moore is a better leader of men than Schottenheimer, or Schottenheimer is a better leader of men? Not talking about play calling or none of that. Just being as a leader.
Probably Schottenheimer.
I don't know though, man. Look, he didn't last year. Hold on, last year. If y'all remember, last year there was huge dissension in that damn locker room. Huge dissension between AJ Brown and Hurts. They bring in Kellen Moore, and I'm not saying Kellen Moore is a savior at all, but you bring in Kellen Moore, and things get better to the point where now they're in the Super Bowl.
Well,
he's got his offensive line working well. He's got his quarterbacks, everybody working well. And they're in the Super Bowl. So I don't know, man. I mean, you got to be some kind of a leader to go from, losing all over the place to now in the Super Bowl.
I get what you're saying there, but there was still a lot of talk about Brown and Hurts this season as well going up.
I'm sure there's still some lingering
issues. What I mean? But I see what you're saying, but you also have to think, Sirianni's the main leader there at the Eagles.
For sure. I'm
just asking because to me, that's who I would think would be the best for the job. I wouldn't worry about like the play calling because Schottenheimer's not going to be the play caller, so he's going to be bringing in an offensive coordinator.
No,
you know what I mean? Sure. So to me, it's more like because to me that's the number one quality you need in the head coach is he has to be a great leader, and I kind of think that
absolutely.
I'm starting to think that's what.
Right. Here's the thing about that.
I'm starting to think that's what we're lacking in Indianapolis. I think Steichen's a great play caller, but I don't know if he's a leader.
Right. My curiosity is who is he going to bring in as his offensive coordinator for Dallas? Because they haven't hired anybody there yet. I don't think they've hired defense, but I don't think they've hired offense. Yeah. So I'm curious to see who he brings. Now I hate to say it, but. Or not, I don't hate. I would love to see them bring in a Slovic. I'd like to see that happen. I think that'd be a great addition there. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know what his plan is, but again, like you said, would Slovic want to come into a place where Brian Schottenheimer's calling the plays? That was the same thing with Jacksonville. You said earlier.
I don't think. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Schottenheimer will be calling the plays though, will he? Because he's not known. He's not because that ain't why he got the job. Because he wouldn't like. He's not known as this great play caller. You know what I mean?
Understand that, but we don't.
So I think whoever they bring in that situation, I think if he brought in, I think Slovic fits in better there than what he does with
I agree
with Jacksonville because I think the Jacksonville head coach is going to call the plays. Dallas, I don't think he's going to call the plays. So if Slovic went to Dallas, I think he would be the play caller.
Now, is the Buffalo coach, the offensive coordinator, is he staying there?
As far as I know, Joe Brady's not going nowhere.
I heard Joe Brady was staying there. I have not heard that he's leaving. Matter of fact, they tried to get him to leave, and he said, "Nope, I'm going back." So as far as I know, he's still staying there. But in terms of the Brian Schottenheimer, the problem with that though, Gonzo, is we don't know enough about him to know whether or not he's going to want to call his plays or not call his plays. You know, I mean, like we don't know. That's the problem with him. There's just not enough known about him. To be honest with you. He may want to say, you know what? I didn't get to call my plays last year. I do want to kind of call my own damn plays. Maybe he takes that approach. Maybe he doesn't.
What was his title with Dallas?
He was offensive coordinator. He was assigned to develop the offense according to Mike McCarthy's directives, right? But he was not calling the plays. I mean, I hate to say it, but honestly, he was just a little bitch boy.
Mm-hmm, yep, that's what I'm saying.
You can't
say that. You can't say that. That's racist.
Bitch. Right. He's right.
Hey, when everybody was saying that about Bieniemy with Andy Reid, it was racist. So why can we say that about him but not Eric Bieniemy?
I don't know. That might be another show for a different title.
Just a good question.
Yeah.
You trying to get me in trouble?
You don't need a whole lot of help to get yourself in trouble.
You don't need no damn help.
I think the FCC is coming down here at some point saying, McLovin, we got to have a conversation. And then I'm going to walk into a room. I'm going to set the tone for him. McLovin's going to walk into a room where he's going to be investigated, and they're going to say, McLovin, we got two people that have come in here to talk about you. And here comes Tony and freaking Gonzo. That son of a bitch.
I'm gonna take this a different direction for a second. But I got a
Please.
question.
Chris and Tony is going to be looking like the dudes from Fantasy Island.
'Cause I had heard this earlier. Adam Silver, NBA commissioner, was on Dan Patrick's show today. And Dan Patrick was asking, like, is there any, like, you got any, like, wild ideas to change the game? He goes, I don't have nothing wild. He goes, but one thing I really like that I'm wanting, he's wanting to kind of push, but he didn't say it was going to happen, but he's wanting to shorten the games from 48 minutes to 40 minutes. Basically, that's what they play in the Olympics. That's what they play internationally.
They play in college.
And that's what they play. Yeah, he's basically going to take 2 minutes. 2 minutes off each quarter? It'd be a 40-minute game. I don't think it would be that bad of an idea because maybe if you do that, maybe you can convince these players to play more often. Maybe take care of some of the load management as well. But yeah, what was your guys' thoughts on that? But I think he kind of threw it out there to kind of get the reaction of, what would the public reaction be? But yeah, one of his things Adam Silver threw out there is maybe going from a 48-minute game to a 40-minute game.
I'll go ahead and go first, Jay, because I have a lot of experience.
Please do.
I'm actually all for it because NBA when you play like they do, especially in the fourth quarter, there's a lot of times where the last 5 minutes of a game gets drug out so much with timeout calls and review calls and all that other crap that the game goes on longer than what it should be. So, and I noticed the difference between the NBA and the WNBA because they run the 10-minute quarters, and everything is much more streamlined as far as time, even with all the challenges and the timeouts late. So I think this is a great idea, and I kind of hope they would do it.
Interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, I think the only reason I would be that I was trying to say that I like that 40-minute is I know that basketball is a very high-paced game. So I think that if you are down by X amount of points, it still gives you a lot of time to still come back. And, so it's not like football where, you only get so many possessions in football or so many innings in baseball or so many outs in baseball to really mount a comeback on. So I think because it's a faster paced sport in that time frame that I could go along with that. If it was baseball or football, I would not go along with that because I think you need that time for possessions. And sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes a possession can take up half of a quarter, one possession. So with basketball, though, it's such a high energy sport that I think, I could get behind a 40-minute game. Yeah.
I think the biggest pushback they'll get from like fans and media people will be if you cut it to 40 minutes and even some players, because with the players' perspective is in their contracts, some of their contracts goes by like their stats, and that's less time they have to try to get their numbers. I'm just being honest. Some of them players get, they get bonuses. They get bonuses off their numbers. So, and if you cut 8 minutes off a game, that could affect some of the players.
Oh, absolutely affect.
And if the media and fans are going to go, their pushback's going to be records. Well, this guy scored that many points, but yeah, they played 48 minutes back then. This guy done that, and
well, that's gonna be that's even now, now that's still
you know what I mean. New. So you're going to get that, but I think the players' biggest pushback is going to be when they have contract incentives that are around performance-based stuff, and then you're cutting in the time. But my argument against that is
just prorate.
You don't worry about that when you miss 20 games a year.
Oh, when you're load managing.
That's what I'm saying. You're not worried about your numbers when you're missing 20 games a year. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, these players are already load managing. So what is 8 minutes going to hurt them, right? If anything, they'll probably be like, hell yeah, I'm already load managing. So go ahead and do that. I mean,
I just prorate the contract if it's already in there when they go from 48 to 40.
Let me ask you this question. I got one more idea I wanted to put out there to you guys. The Yankees are upset with the Dodgers spending. They feel like
who?
Hey, Hal Steinbrenner came out and said that they're spending more than what we can spend, basically, is getting at. And I'm thinking, like, if the Yankees are saying this about the Dodgers, and these are the guys that started the big spending way back when George was there. I mean, they created this. The
I'm
Yankees
gonna sound like Frankie the Yankee here on
are
this.
dealing with now.
I'm gonna sound like Frankie the Yankee here on this, but they didn't defer to. They haven't deferred $1 billion or anything like that over time, though.
All them
There's
crybabies
teams
suck
that have
my
done it,
left nut.
but
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
there's
So
teams
so you're telling me that Hal Steinbrenner is pissed off because the Dodgers found a better way to maneuver the cap number, even though I think at the end of the day it's going to bite him in the ass. But
Hey, evidently they're within the rules.
yeah, they
you know
are.
what I'm
You're
saying?
right about
They're
that,
within
Tony.
the rules.
So
But that
I
will
have
like
no,
it change.
do I like it? No, but
Yeah.
I'm a Reds fan. We spend $50 million. I don't want to hear a fucking Yankee fan who spends $300 million a year or more cry and boo fucking who. Any of them guys.
If
Any of them
anything,
teams.
Tony, it
I
should
mean,
be
Yankees are the one that started, but
us.
now I agree that baseball needs to change the rule. I
agree.
think being able to defer shit 30 years down the road is stupid. Myself,
Yeah,
I think there should be a
But-
salary cap. Period.
yeah, I agree with that, but I don't think there ever will be a salary cap.
I just feel like how are you gonna get pissed? How is the pot gonna call the kettle black?
I agree.
Well, I think yeah.
You started this craziness, and they just perfected what you started, and now all this. And
No, I agree with
you're
that.
upset with the Dodgers,
Yeah.
why weren't you upset with the New York Mets when they spent what $346 million? Like, there was
No, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think he's more upset is that they didn't figure out that loophole before the Dodgers did.
I think
that's
you're
what he's
right.
upset about.
Exactly. Gonzo.
But
it should have been me.
if you're not going to have a salary cap, whatever money, I mean, you should have to pay it that year. You shouldn't be able to
I agree.
defer it like that. But I mean, they've been letting them do it for a long time. I mean,
Well,
like
the
you
Mets
got
did it.
Bobby Bonilla still getting
Yeah,
freaking paid.
it's
so-
nothing new.
Well, but yeah, but now it's just like,
Dodgers taken to another level.
well, yeah, nobody's ever deferred like all their contract with $1 million like Otani did.
Well, I
Like
don't know.
a $700 million contract, and he deferred like all of it, but like 10 million or something. I
I
mean,
don't know, but-
you just never seen that before.
I don't know if it's a smart business move, but they did it, and they're the one who will either bite them in the ass or they'll win a bunch of championships and make a ton of money. That's the risk. That's the risk they're going to take. But the Yankees didn't do that.
To me, though, it's like Jay said, it was going to bite Dodgers in the ass. To me, though, the Dodgers aren't the one that's taking the risk. It's the player.
It's the player. Yeah.
Is taking the risk because who's it saying? I mean, I'm not saying I think this is going to happen, but who's it saying 15, 20 years something don't happen and baseball goes down and the Dodgers don't have that money to pay you? What happens then?
For sure. Oh, for sure. No, you're all the ownership of that is on the Dodgers. All of it. And here's the thing, too, right? I mean,
if say the Dodgers file bankruptcy and have to and fold under, who's going to pay Otani their money? His money, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to me, as a player, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, I think the Dodgers are going to be around forever. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, you never know, something could happen.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you another question. Same subject matter, but just a different way. So they spent all this deferred money. They got this badass lineup, right? I mean, their pitching is so deep, it's ridiculous, right? You got Mookie Betts, you got a great fielding team out there, offensive team. How many World Series titles do you expect these Dodgers to get? They've already got one. How many more do you expect during this time period of all this deferred money? How many champions do you think they get out of that?
I think they get 3.
Did they get 3?
Yeah,
Is it 3? Hold on. Is it 3 including this one, making it 4, or just 3 total?
3 total.
Okay, 3 total. Gonzo, what are you thinking?
Somebody's gonna catch up to him.
That's a good. Yeah. Gonzo?
I'm gonna say I'll say 2 more, like Lynn, but it's just so hard in baseball because the team that spends the most money don't always win.
It's true.
So
Well, we're saying that. I think the Tampa Bay Devil Rays and Miami Marlins have
that's what I'm
proven
saying. You know what I mean? So it's so hard in baseball, but
Well,
I would say they're going to get at least a couple more.
And you know, the most team that spends the most in baseball, they'll always win. One thing's for sure, our guy, the judge, has spent a lot of money on that beer. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, goodness. Glenn, let me ask you this real quick because I know we're about over that hour time frame. Are you going to be on the show tomorrow? Will you be able to? Will your schedule allow you to be on the show tomorrow? Because I have a topic.
Yes. When we start tomorrow, I'll actually be at the convention center. But in between the two photo shoots I got, I should be able to hop on for a few.
I really just got one question. We'll just go ahead and cover it now since we're already here. Let's just go ahead and cover it now because I know tomorrow's going to be very crazy for you. My question is this: Caitlin Clark, the basically the resurrecting person of the WNBA, right, is not going to play the 3-point contest. Is that a good move for the WNBA that she's not going to participate in that contest? Because let's be honest, she's the one that's kind of raising the bar for the WNBA. Your biggest star, your biggest acclimate says, no, I'm not going to participate in this contest. Is that a bad thing for her and all of her compadres that are trying to get that next level and financial income?
No, and I'll tell you why. She is focused on getting better for the upcoming season. That's her only goal.
No, I understand what she's doing. But is she doing? No. Listen, I understand. You're talking about her as a person. I'm saying her as basically the resident. Look, ever since Caitlin Clark came in the league, now all these people are getting these big contracts, these big endorsements. Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark has bought that media buzz, right? But you got your biggest person saying, "I'm more selfish for me than the greater good of everybody." Should we hold her to that kind of accountability, or are we saying that's too much?
That's too much.
I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think she's doing the WNBA wrong at all because this ain't the WNBA All-Star game.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the NBA All-Star game. It's supposed to be featuring NBA players, not
I thought that was regardless of the NBA.
And I think it's a smart move by her because if she was
is it for her or for the organization?
I think it's a smart move for Caitlin Clark because of this. If she would have done that,
and
all the media would have buried her that she's trying to take Sabrina Inescu's spotlight because Sabrina Ionescu is the one that's been doing that 3-point contest with the men shooting against Steph Curry and stuff. And if Clark would have stepped in and done that, she'd have took a bunch of heat from the media and stuff about she's trying to take over Sabrina Ionescu and all this. But to me, though, why is it Clark's responsibility? Why is it Clark's responsibility to show up at an NBA event? NBA.
Right. I got to answer for that. And that's exactly. No, I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what I wanted to ask you specifically. So we talked about earlier about marketing, how the NBA or how the MLB and WNBA wasn't doing good in their marketing. Don't you think that having Caitlin Clark, your biggest asset in the NBA 3-point contest, what if she won it, Gonzo? What would that have done for the marketing of the WNBA in terms of player salaries going up because the more people watch because of her winning the 3-point contest? That could be a huge marketing strategy for the WNBA.
No, I get what you're saying, but why is Caitlin Clark obligated to do it? Because you said you said should we
obligated?
No, because you just said should we hold her to that standard? You just said should we hold her? Why should she be held to a different standard than any of the other women? Why is it Angel Reese doing the 3-point contest? Why is it any of the other? Why is it that one real good 3-point shooter from Seattle? I can't think of her name. Why ain't they doing the 3-point contest against the men? You know what I mean? I get what you're saying though. It'd be great for the WNBA marketing wise, but to me, that don't fall on Caitlin Clark. Hell, she done everything they could for WNBA last year, and all I did was shit on her the whole season. Why the hell would she be obligated to do it?
Okay, let me come in a different direction. Let's say I'm the low-paid motherfucker. Let's say I'm the guy that's down there at not necessarily the bottom, but I got good skills. I'm trying to get some money, but I don't got a name like Caitlin Clark. I'm good. I'm good at my job, but I don't have a name like Caitlin Clark. But if Caitlin Clark goes out there and does this for us, and I'm not saying that I understand what you're saying about the obligation. Like she's not obligated to do this. She's not. But would it not be a good strategy for her to make friends? I guess making friends in the NBA. Say, look, if I go out there and I direct this attention to WNBA, then you're going to get our viewership's going to go up, and if our viewership goes up, then everybody reaps the benefit of the rewards. Now, is it Caitlin's job specifically to save the WNBA or marketing campaign? No, it's not.
No.
I get what you're saying, Jay. I get what you're saying, but here's my thing on that: the way the WNBA and a lot of the WNBA players treated Caitlin Clark last year, I wouldn't care if they
Oh,
were mad at me at all.
Your viewpoint on that. If
think
we're
if
looking at it, if we're looking at it in a personal standpoint, yes. But I
think-
will tell you this though, Gonzo. At the same time, if she did go out there and compete in that NBA 3-point contest, and if she did win, not only would the people below her benefit financially, but you don't think that Caitlin Clark is going to benefit from
Yeah,
that?
but
You don't think if she wins
Well, I
that,
know
she
what
will
you're
become
saying.
the next Michael Jordan
I
of
don't think she-
WNBA?
I don't think she's worried about that financial, but there's a double-edged sword there. Actually, it's a no-win situation. If she goes there and wins, there's going to be a ton of people going to hate on her. I mean, don't get me wrong; it's going to get
Well,
big
they're already
headlines.
hating.
Well, yeah, but if she goes there and shits the bed and does
I
terrible,
don't think she would, but I understand
no,
what
I'm
you're
not.
saying.
But well, you never know. You can have a bad
Well,
shooting
that's
night.
true. That's true. That's true.
I'll
So
go
if she
ahead
goes there and
and
shits
go
the bed, you talk about people really going to go ape shit. I think it's a no-win situation.
And I think it would have been good for WNBA if they could have got her to do it, but because of the marketing. But also, I think she'd have took a lot of flack too because, like Glenn said, she's been saying that she's focused on the season, and like she's not even playing in that new what's it called, unrivaled league, a new 3-on-3 women's league that a lot of a couple of WNBA players put together, and they're paying more than the WNBA, and she wouldn't participate in that. So if she wouldn't do that, which is all women's, and then she's over here doing stuff with the men, she'd have took flack for that.
Right.
Yeah. So
I understand. I mean, let's be honest. Caitlin Clark does have a lot. She's got a lot to put on the line. She does. So I get it. I mean, Gonzo, I understand where you're coming from. Tony, I understand where you're coming from. I just look at it.
You're right. It did a great marketing move for the WNBA.
Yeah.
Here's the big question for me: is with Caitlin Clark coming in, all that stuff, all the money, advertising, everything that was coming into the WNBA. How did they still lose $50 million last year? That's the question. That to me is the question.
That is a good question. How is that?
I want to say it though. So here's the thing: as good as Caitlin Clark is, as much as we would love her to be in the WNBA or the NBA All-Star 3-point contest, even if she helped out with the promotional side of that, doing that, there are still internal issues in WNBA HQ that is kind of deter them to be able to market it like they should. They still got a lot of work to do on that end.
Oh yeah, for sure. The WNBA has a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, they're the subsidiary of the NBA, so they don't get all the love, right? They don't get all the love they should get. So it's still a very long road ahead to the WNBA. It really is.
They got more, but man, you stop and think about how much coverage they got last year, and most of it was because of Caitlin Clark. But I mean, compared to what they had before, it was night and day. I mean, it went up 400% or 500%, probably.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like my bank account.
You never heard. You never heard any sports talk shows on Fox or on FS1 or ESPN or any of the networks talk about WNBA, and that's all that. Like Lynn said, that's all they talked about last summer.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. The WNBA just doesn't get the love or respect, that they deserve. They really don't.
But the problem of it is too, though, they didn't help themselves any. But because here they got all this coverage, and then they wanted to whine and bitch because, well, why didn't they do that 10 years ago? I was as good as player as she was. Shut the fuck up. Appreciate what you have.
Hey, let's be honest though. Since Caitlin Clark has come into the league, now they're actually flying on airlines rather than riding on buses.
Exactly.
I mean,
Private plane.
Exactly.
First preseason game, I sure they was on a freaking Pacer jet, private jet.
I mean, look, I'm sure if I was a great a player, man or woman, whatever, and somebody came in and took the spotlight, my little ego might get hurt too. But that don't mean you need to open your mouth.
Let me ask you.
You know what's interesting to me?
Hey Jay, let me ask you and Dad this question because you guys are a little older. When Michael Jordan came into the NBA,
he's actually older than I am, so I'm younger. But go ahead.
I know, but you guys are older than me. But what I'm saying is, you guys have a different perspective on it than me because I was young when it was going on. But when Jordan came into the NBA was struggling. He came in and he took over.
He did.
Did you hear NBA players, other NBA players whining and bitching like like you did in the WNBA last
Oh,
year?
not at all. Not at all.
Absolutely not.
But
So
then
they-
again,
So,
not
so
to say-
they,
not to be
they were
chauvinistic.
taking advantage of the new opportunities to make money that Jordan was bringing
Yep.
to everybody.
No,
Hey,
That's just-
hold on, hold on.
Joe,
Not
I
to be
mean,
chauvinistic. Hold on, not to be chauvinistic, but men and women have different emotional sets.
No,
You know that.
No, I get what you're saying.
Everybody's
I was
never
just-
been married.
I was
Tony,
just
you've
asking,
been
though,
married,
I
you got a
think that-
wife. Why for a
I think
little
that
bit?
killed the public perception of the WNBA.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I mean,
look, I have no problem with them being jealous. I have no problem with that. But that don't mean you need to open your mouth on TV about it.
and that's where their agents should be like, yo, I know you want to say X, Y, and Z, but it's not.
No, I was just
financially
wondering, like, if
beneficial.
that happened, like when Jordan came in and like, or like when Magic and Bird was taking over with the WNBA or the NBA. You know what I mean? I don't remember. I was young, but like I said, I don't remember.
Well, hold on.
I don't remember a big backlash
Gonzo,
from the
hold
other
on, hold
players.
on.
What about
Because
Cheryl
no,
Swoops?
hold on. The NBA players do bitch, gripe, and complain. Come on.
No, they do. But what I'm saying is,
Paul
so what I'm
George.
saying is, Jay, were they making a big backlash against Jordan, like what happened
no,
with Caitlin
not at all.
Clark?
Not at all. Not at all.
You see what
Not
I'm
at
you see
all.
what I'm saying?
Not
That's
at
what I'm saying. No,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, NBA players whine. That's part of the problem now. How they're not happy. Put me on a different team. I think that's a big problem in the NBA. They
Yeah.
whine. I was just saying you didn't see them you didn't see the league turn against Jordan
They didn't
because
attack- they didn't
because he
attack
was
Jordan.
because he was like the guy carrying it. You didn't see that.
Oh,
And you
for
almost
sure.
saw
For
that
sure.
last year with Clark.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure,
No, I
sure,
understand what you're saying. I mean, trust me, the amount of backlash that Caitlin Clark got is retarded.
I mean,
And
look how,
haven't even
like you
used that
just
word.
said,
It's
Cheryl
ridiculous.
Swoops. Look how many WNBA, like the legends of the WNBA, was coming out against Clark, like the one that's is helping grow everything. And you don't see that in other sports.
Right. You know, I knew the WNBA. Look, here's the thing. I knew the WNBA was going to struggle early on. Early on, back to when the comments. Look, when you got your Houston Comments that win the first 4 straight WNBA titles, right? Okay, Cheryl Swoops, Arcane, the whole 9, Tina Thompson, the whole 9. When he decides to sell the team, look, Leslie Alexander sold the Comments after their 4th straight win. You knew that the WNBA was struggling because he got out because he knew there was no money in the WNBA. And he knew that they had no way to market the WNBA to actually be a moneymaker. So that's why he cut Sling Load and said, I'm done. I'm out. There's no comments. We're done.
And see, I
That
think
was the first indication that there was an issue with how the marketing was.
I think it could be a moneymaker now.
Is it really, though?
I think
Is it
I'm
really
not
a
saying it
moneymaker?
is. I think
Hold
it
on,
could.
Watch this, Glenn. I'm going to
Yeah.
go to Glenn because I know Glenn goes to a lot of WNBA games. Glenn, let me ask you this. How easy is it to get behind the bench? Financially, how easy is it to get behind the bench?
Well,
For a Fever
it used,
game,
to
you're paying
be,
good money.
it used to be easy at Fever Game, but now with Caitlin Clark there, it's kind of hard, But average otherwise in the W, you can get to behind the bench pretty closely.
How much?
If you're talking about price.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just saying it's a lot cheaper. Let me ask you this. How
Well,
full
yeah.
is the arena? When you go to a WNBA game, how full is that arena?
If
You go to a Patriots.
you go to a Fever game, it's sold out.
Yeah.
Is it real?
It's
Well,
amazing.
I guess so. Caitlin Clark is
They
there.
They sell
Vegas
17,000
game.
tickets now.
Yeah.
A game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sold
I
out every
went to
game.
T-Mobile Arena last July for the Fever game out there in Vegas, man, and that place is amazing. That's actually where they have UFC at.
Wherever Caitlin Clark went, they were selling out. There was
Yeah.
places where they had to move the games because
Oh,
they couldn't
really?
accommodate it. Yeah, they had to move to the NBA
Yes.
arena, not the small arena, because they instead of selling 7,000 seats, they were going to sell 15,000 seats.
Oh, okay. I got you. So there is
But now,
some traction
Jay,
in
your
there.
point is right for other teams, though. There's other
No,
teams
yeah.
that aren't selling out
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that.
No.
But the Fever do.
Yeah,
because
Yeah, I
of
really should. I
Fever
should
should be making money.
pick the
But what I'm
Caitlin
saying-
Clark
but here's
arena.
what I'm saying. I know it don't make money now, but I think it could be a money maker. And the reason I say that is because women's sports is exploding right now. So
Yeah.
so I think that's why I think it could end up being a good money maker if they knew they need to take advantage of what they have going on right now with Clark because they could
Oh,
really
for
grow.
sure.
But
For sure.
but not just women's basketball. I mean, women's wrestling. You're seeing a big thing, and now they're actually going to have a women's college national championship wrestling tournament now.
Oh,
So I mean, you're seeing this rise in women's sports. So that's why I think WNBA could end up in the future being a moneymaker because everybody craves watching live sports, and women's sports
And
is
that's
growing
the
so
thing.
much as a whole.
You hit the nail right on the head, Gonzo. And if I was the WNBA, if I was the head of the WNBA, I would personally go to Caitlin Clark's agent and say, look, we know everybody loves Caitlin Clark. We know that she is a huge magnet. If the WNBA should basically give her I feel like they should give her a compensation. Say, look, you take X amount of money from us, but you got to be the spokesperson for the WNBA as a whole. Like they can exploit. I hate to say it, but the WNBA should be the marketing team should be exploiting Caitlin Clark like the NBA exploited Michael Jordan back in the day. Like that's your huge money maker. That's your chance to really put that sport on the map because you got a money grabber, and if you're not maximizing your money grabber, then the hell with the WNBA. You're not ever going to make no damn money. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Caitlin Clark should be compensated for what she's doing, but the WNBA should be going to Caitlin Clark and her management and say, look, let's strike a deal. What would it take for you to be our spokesperson, our overall ambassador to personally promote our game?
Well, because I know this is just at Fever games. I don't know what the ticket prices are other places, but I know I checked a couple years ago to go to a Fever game. You get tickets cheap. Last year, there was a couple times I looked, and you're paying at least $100 or more to get in the building.
Really? For a Fever game?
Yes.
Glenn, am I wrong?
Last year, yes.
And that includes even up in the nosebleed.
Yeah, that's like cheapest ticket.
Yeah. That was
that strikes me as, and I wonder if that's the same around the league, or is that just specifically to the Fever?
I would say
That's
to the Fever.
Home and away.
Yeah, home and away. Even on away games,
I mean,
it's like that.
Anytime she's in the building, I'm saying that's when ticket prices would spike.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
That's interesting because I know I can go to a Rockets game for less than $100. So the fact that she commands that even further strengthens my thing. If she's commanding this, exploit her ass. Give her the money, compensate her, but exploit her ass to promote the game. That's how you get the game.
Hey, Glenn, before Clayton Clark, what the Fever average attendance wise? Like 3,000, wasn't it?
If he was lucky.
Like 2,000 to 3,000 people. Now they're selling out almost every game at like 17,000.
Yeah,
and I mean,
I can close my eyes and even think it was a Pacer playoff game. That was every game I went to last year.
Man, everybody says that the sports arena is a business. It's a business. Okay. If it's a damn business, run it like a business. And if you got a head market maker, if you got a number one selling product, man, use her.
Well,
compensate her, but use her.
Hey, perfect example. That's why she should have been on the Olympic team.
Oh, for sure, she should have been on the Olympic team.
Why she should have been on the Olympic team?
That's not going to the Olympics.
Hey, you can't play. That's the one they missed out on big because that's a lot bigger advertisement there than what the NBA All-Star game would have been.
Absolutely.
Hey, there was at those Olympic games, everything else was sold out. The women's games, you would see empty seats. If Caitlin Clark would have been playing,
Tony, you know what that makes me think, though, Tony? You know what all this really makes me think is, we know that the WNBA is a parent company of the NBA. And it has been said before in other podcasts that the NBA uses the WNBA as a write-off. And I got to be honest with you. Let me ask you that. You got to put some theory into that, right? If it's a write-off for them, I don't know, man. I mean, it kind of makes a lot of sense why the marketing isn't there for the NBA because they're just using it as a write-off, not as necessarily as a moneymaker, but as a way to defer.
It might have been in previous years, but I think now it's not because last year when the NBA done their TV deal, right? They put it like a separate TV deal thing in there for the WNBA, and they upped the money a lot. And the WNBA TV deal was a lot more than what it used to be. And so I think it could. I think you're right in the past, but I think that kind of changed this with this new TV deal that got signed.
And also, Jay, when she was on TV, and if it was a national game, their games ratings were beating NBA games.
Oh, for sure. I can understand. I mean, no, look, I know she's a phenomenon. And I know that if people buy into the phenomenon, it is going to boost it up. I think the key for the WNBA is just trying to get the female people into the actual game itself. There's a lot of females out there, my wife included. My wife's kind of a book nerd, but there's women out there that just aren't interested in sports. If the WNBA can continue to capture women viewership,
And that's what
really what's going to propel them. You're not going to get to the men, okay? You're not going to get to the men, but if you can get that women buy-in, that's what's going to propel the WNBA.
Well, and that's why I think that's why I say I think it can be a moneymaker, because the younger generation, there's a lot more of the women that are in the sports that are competing in sports and stuff. So I think that's why I think that you can see that explosion.
I think one thing they need another star. They need, like you had Michael Jordan, but you had people like Larry Bird, you had some Magic Johnson. They need somebody else that can step up in the WNBA to be that other star.
That's somebody.
No, she's not very good. She can rebound.
She averages a double-double. What do you mean she ain't very good?
I've seen her shots.
Yeah,
she's lucky to make it.
I want to see this. I want to see
Tony she better make a layup.
I know 80% of her rebounds are her own misses, but still, she averages a double-double.
Again, they need a star. Do you think the girl at I think it's Stanford? Do you think she could be the girl?
Cameron Brink?
USC, Stanford,
USC. You're thinking of Juju.
Juju.
Watkins.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Cameron Brink.
No, I'm talking about Juju. I think she could be.
Yeah, she's good.
I think
there's
she
a
could be
lot
that.
there's a lot of stuff coming out of the NBA world. Yeah. What a time to
Hey, I tell you what, though, that Dallas Wings game in Indy in July is the most in-demand game of the season.
Really?
Yeah, because the cost of the resale, it's like $100 to get in the building. But if you go look at any resale seat, it's besides mine, because I try to keep mine cheap, but enough to make money. Like lower level, you're looking at about $900. $600 to $900 for a seat.
Glenn, real quick before we get out of here, what do you think about the Fever might be getting that Saboli or Sabali, however you pronounce it?
I'm all for it. We had to sign Kelsey Mitchell today, and I think it's the reason why we haven't done anything yet. It's because, I know the Fever wanted to re-sign her before we did anything else, and I'll tell you the reason why.
From what I was saying, they're going to get rid of Alyssa Thomas, and it would be that Saboli.
Yeah. When I did went to the Fever Christmas party last month, they had me do they recruited me to do a video, giving my personal thoughts on Kelsey Mitchell. So I knew that they was working on getting her re-signed. So now that we got that out of the way, we can sign some free agents.
I think she'd be a good pickup.
Yes, she would. I think it would solidify our position as being a top 4 team in the league and going after the defending champion, Frankie's Liberty. The Liberty will fall this year, Frankie.
Say it with your chest, Glenn. You didn't sound very convincing. Can you please say it with your chest one time?
Hey.
I did. I was turning away from the mic when I said it.
Oh, no. I want to hear you say the word Frankie and that in the same sentence with your chest. And then
so Frankie, Frankie, the Liberty will fall this year, my man.
God, Glenn,
Pacers,
you sound like a wussy. You sound like hold on. Glenn, you sound like a literal. I love you, but you sound like a wussy.
That's my compliment.
You sound like a pussy saying wussy.
Glenn, do you have some hair on your chest?
Yeah, I'm just speaking with confidence, though, man.
I don't know. Is that really confidence? I don't feel it, Glenn. I don't feel it in my body that you really want Frankie to know that.
Hey,
about
Jay,
Liberty.
the Indiana Pacers are going to win the NBA championship this season, and the Indiana Fever are going to win the WNBA championship this season.
And the Dodgers are going to
Watch this. Let me say what I say. No. That's what I'm trying to say. Frank, hear me. Hear me. We are going to dominate your Liberty. I hope you hear me, Frankie. I hope you feel
Frankie,
where I'm coming from. Do you see how that translates better? I'm basically pulling my ball hair.
Frankie, you coming to kick that ass.
I'll do it.
I'm just trying to say, hey, listen, what I'm trying to say to Big Glenn, from entertainment value, I need to feel it. I want to feel it in my soul that you're telling Frankie to F off. Can you make me feel that?
Paul just say, Frankie would come to kick that ass, my man.
Wow. Okay, we'll work on that. That's something we got to work on. We'll work on that.
Hey, I'll do. Hey, Frankie, the Dodgers are going to screw your Yankees up the ass.
Now,
They're going to
that's
beat
not
you
bad. That's not
so bad.
That's why.
The Yankees ain't going to win another championship for the next 5 to 10 years because the Dodgers are going to own that effing ass.
So,
Is that
now-
enough?
now-
Is
now-
that strong enough? Is that what
Tony
you,
did a good job there.
was that what you want out of him?
He said Tony got a good job.
If it was me, I would have said, Frankie, I'm about to make your Yankees.
He-
You gotta be
Frankie's
loud
gonna
about
be
it.
in the
You gotta-
corner. Frankie's gonna be in the corner. Frankie's gonna be in the corner crying. Deferred money. Deferred money. He'll be in the corner.
It's going to be a good sports year. I'm predicting a good sports year for myself. Pacers
Yeah.
championship. Fever going to get a championship for Indiana, and then the Reds are going to be in the playoffs.
Let me ask one question, guys.
Wow, that's a pretty big predictions there, Gonzo.
I go with the Reds in the playoffs. I go with the Pacers at least in the back to the conference finals at least.
I can see the Reds making the NLDS.
Here's how I see mine. I see the Longhorns under Manning taking that next step, evolution to the #1 championship spot. I see the Rockets battling it out and doing really well in the playoffs and future building this team into success. I see the Astros continue where they left off. I think the Astros win the division, make the playoffs, and it's going to be a battle out in the ALCS to get to the World Series. And I see the Cowboys still sucking ass. Yeah.
Hey,
I can agree with you on, especially in the last one.
let me ask you. Let me ask you this,
Look,
guys.
I'm a
Jay.
Cowboys fan, but and I really believe Glenn is on the same wavelength as I am in terms of being a Cowboys fan. You know, you got two types of Cowboys fans. You got the delusional, okay, we're gonna be in the Super Bowl next year, and then you get the more realistic, okay, I am a Cowboys fan, but I understand where my team is at.
Yeah.
Cowboys fan. And I think me and Glenn are more where we know where we are, and we know how long it's going to be before we get there, and we know who has to leave the organization for us to get there. We're that
Hope for the best. Expect
We know where we are, and the
Exactly.
Cowboys.
There you go. You hit the nail on the head. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. That's what First Sergeant always told me. Keep it simple.
Hey, but look at it this way with Frankie, and I'm being serious. Now, if the Yankees was doing what the Dodgers was doing right now, he'd be ecstatic now, wouldn't he?
Oh, he would be so freaking elated. You couldn't cut. Look, I'll be honest with you. If the Yankees were doing what the Dodgers are doing, you couldn't keep Frankie off of a podcast.
Okay. If the Astros was doing what the Dodgers are doing, how would you feel, Jay?
I would be. Look, anytime you spend and you're bringing that much depth, yeah, I would be ecstatic.
I'd be ecstatic too. I don't like that they're doing it, but I'd be ecstatic if the Reds were doing it.
And again, I'm not hating on the Dodgers for working the system. I'm not. But I do say this: not everybody can work this. Here's where I do think it's unfair. Not for the Astros who had the money. Look, the Astros got the money. We just don't spend. Okay. Yankees got the money. Dodgers got the money. Mets got the money. The Cubs probably even got the money. What I feel bad for are the teams like the Cubs or smaller market teams
Reds.
that don't necessarily have that capital. Even if they try to restructure it, they couldn't give $1 billion and restructure. They don't have that kind of stuff.
No.
So I do think even take the A's. Look at the Oakland A's, now the Las Vegas A's or Sacramento A's or whoever they are. Look at that organization. They ain't got no damn money. They barely got a damn fan base. And you want them to compete with everybody else on any kind of level? No, it's not going to happen. I do feel bad for those teams that can't compete with the financial spending of greater organizations. I do think there is a disparity in baseball that makes it unfair. I really do. I think you can financially buy any championship you want if you're willing to spend.
Got to do Moneyball.
There you go, killer. There you go. Do Moneyball all day long.
It's a
How'd
good
that
movie.
work out in the
Good
end?
movie.
Did they get him
It's a
to
good
win?
movie.
Hey, how'd that Moneyball work out in the end? You watched the movie. Did they still win? No, they lost.
No.
I'm just saying, Billy Bean. I love Billy Bean. More power. You're the one that brought analytics to the power of baseball. But Billy Bean, you didn't win. At the end of the day, you still didn't win. It is what it is. Gonzo, get us out of here, killer.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Please hit that subscribe button, like button, follow button, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys tomorrow right around 2:00.